I just watched Spider-Man No Way Home, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it was quite a sad movie. But not for the reasons you think I'm gonna say it's a sad movie. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong, the fact that none of his friends could remember him and all these things that happened in the movie were sad, but they were not the saddest thing about that movie. In the movie, there's going to be spoilers. Just letting anybody know who watches this video. I'm going to be talking about things in the movie, the overall message and themes. So I'm going to need to be talking about the scenes in the movie when Peter Parker, Tom Holland, Peter Parker, um, when he's first faced with the question, should I send these bad guys back to their worlds where they're going to die, he says, it's not my problem. So you may as well. And his aunt says she says that it is your problem. You're Spider-Man. It's your duty to help the bad guys, I guess, not be bad anymore. And so he brings, I don't know why he had to do this. I don't know why he did this, but he brings all the villains from the other timeline, from the other worlds, to his apartment. His somebody who knows apartment. I didn't watch all the movies, just this one, and he brought him to the apartment to try to help them. Now, I also didn't know that a lot of the bad guys were damaged up here and they couldn't do anything but be a villain because of it. I didn't know this. Um, but regardless, while he's trying to save them, Osborn, Green Goblin, he he says once he changes back to the Green Goblin, he influences most of the other villains in the apartment to just lose it. Okay, just run rampant while while he was this close to fixing all of them. And so everything goes haywire. Um, he tells his Aunt May to run, and he ends up fighting Green Goblin. At the end of this fight, his Aunt May is killed by Osborn, the Green Goblin. And even then, his aunt is saying, we did the right thing. And then once again, Tom Holland, Peter Parker, is this close to saying, it's not my problem, they gotta go back and die at the hands of the original Spider-Mans, the other Spider-Mans. And those Spider-Mans, and, well, I'm just gonna say the other Spider-Mans convince him that his aunt was right and that he should not do that. Now, the saddest part about that movie is that all the main characters walked away and acted thinking that Aunt May was right. Because nearing the end of the movie, Green Goblin said, I may have struck the blow, but then he says that Tom Holland, Peter Parker, is the one who killed his aunt. Now, obviously, that's not true, but is it Peter Parker's fault? Very much so. And I felt like the overall message that they were trying to feed us is that the most good thing you can do is something like give up your best friend, the girl you love, and your aunt for 5 strangers. That's the greatest good that there could possibly be. Because that's what he ended up doing. That's what happened in the movie. That's what his aunt was preaching. I mean, that's the result. Her death is the result of what she was preaching. He essentially gave up his aunt's life for those 5 villains. I think there were 5. Sandman, Electric Guy, Doc Ock, Lizard, Osborn. I think that's all of them. Yeah. We're going to say that's all of them because I can't remember anymore. So he gave up everything that matters to him for 5 murderers? Now, you might argue Well, a lot of them, not all of them, not all of them, were not capable of being good. So, didn't they, in the words that they used, deserve a second chance? The one who got to decide that in the end, no matter whether he chose to walk away from all of it or do something about it, the one who got to decide was Tom Holland and Peter Parker. And he chose, at the advice of his aunt, to give these guys a second chance. And no one's going to talk about this, but he gave these guys a second chance at the cost of his aunt's life. That's what happened. And it was like the movie was trying to say that this is the adult thing to do. This is the right thing to do. When Tom Holland, and he says this multiple times in the movie, that in these words, he says, it's not his problem. When he says that, you gotta understand that that is 100% true. That someone using their heads, someone thinking rationally, would not give up, endanger anyone who they cared about for 5 villains, mentally damaged or not. But this is not just a Spider-Man thing. So I don't know why I'm complaining, because this is a regular theme in Spider-Man, not just the new Spider-Man. But I feel like the new Spider-Man movie, the one I watched, Spider-Man No Way Home, tried to preach it as hard as it could. But this is in more than just Spider-Man. The thing is that people write these stories and they say, this is what's good. But if somebody threatens, in real life situations, if somebody threatens someone's threatening the lives of people who you care about, most people, I think, would not say, I have to stop the bad guy without killing them. I have to stop the bad guy without hurting them. I have to stop the bad guy and heal them. Do you know why they would not say that? Because it's not their problem. I thought that that the movie's very good at addressing that issue and conveying it to the audience by having them say that multiple times. But what the movie and the writers didn't get, and the creator of Spider-Man don't seem to understand, is that that is the result of that kind of thinking. If somebody threatened the lives of people you care about and you thought that way, you would be endangering all those lives. So most people don't make these moral assertions, and but they would never live up to it. They would never act these ideas out in real life because they're insane. The ideas are insane. I don't know if I know that I'm I guess a fan of Rand's ideas, but I feel like most people could understand that the way that movie does it does says that that's what's moral. I think most people could get that that's not ideal, not the way anybody actually wants to live. Or maybe not. I don't know. I haven't talked about this with anybody, but to me, that was the saddest part of that movie. Despite what the Amazing Spider-Man said, his aunt, she did die for no. Well, she didn't die for no reason. She died because of Peter Parker, because of Tom Holland's Peter Parker, the new Spider-Man. The movie tried to play it off like she died and all of these things happened because Tom Holland wanted some things for himself and for his friends. And that's the reason. No, that's not what happened. At least that's what Doctor Strange keeps repeating. And in the end, Peter Parker, Tom Holland, repeats that it's because he wanted too much. while that's probably true for some of the things that occurred, in the end, his aunt's death was because of the advice she gave him.